Completed all the problems in section 8.4 and about half of the problems, a little over half of the problems in section 8.5. Famous last words. I thought this was all going to be one video, but 8.4 is a bear. Also, I'll briefly show, and I'm going to make a video at some point, another pencil video. I did get me some Indian pencils from India, and these are two of the three. And I'll make a video about them, but I'll show, like, when you see the notes, I've got little letters for the pages so that I can compare later on. Just a little curiosity. Okay, so then, yeah. I didn't show it last time, but I've got this little table of what percentage of all the problems in a given chapter I've done. And of course, the aim is going to be for 100% in chapter 8. I'm pretty sure of that right now. Of course, we're at 2 sections in chapter 8 that closes out the reading. And then for progress, this will go out October 23rd. 42 more problems. I'm at 1,495 problems. Then to the book. This has to be, I think, the hardest section that I've encountered in the whole book. It's got a lot going on, because of this whole business of going from one base to another with a transformation. Yeah, just I found some of the problems fairly confusing, and I had to use the answers to some of the odd ones to do the even ones. The most, I think this is the section where I've had to do that the most in the entire book. I also feel that there's like a missing example. It feels like there's a missing example in this section, and I'll show which problems I am talking about. But it's all about going from one base to another, but it's a lot harder than it looks. It really is. And then section 8.5, which is just the opposite, similarity, ties into the P matrices similarity before. I mean, it's the name. And so, yeah, some of the problems were pretty easy. This is really a previous table back in like chapter 5. Yeah, section 5.2. But I still made a few errors, but yeah, very easy. So really, it's kind of interesting that I've gone from a section that is super hard and really just involved to a section that is one of the easiest so far. So again, section 8.4, just the reading of the section. And of course, as always, and I always show this, I work out everything in the book. So I just don't take statements. When they say verify, I actually go through and verify the result for that specific example. Just verify it. Then when I started on the problems, there were a couple where when I looked at the answer, I was like, all right, I just didn't know how to do that. And this is the type of problem that really, I would have loved it if there was an example where you have to figure out a change of variables, and you have to use a C1, C2, C3, another constant. You have to use another constant. That was not in any of the examples, and that tripped me up a little. So some problems were easy, and then some problems I just completely blew it. I just did not understand in which direction I was going, and so really that equivalence of x to t of x in the same basis, and you change the basis from x to x in another basis, then you use an A matrix to get to that t of x in that other basis, your B prime basis. And some of these problems like this one, you're not going like that, you're going around. Or sometimes you're going backwards, sometimes you're only doing one direction. And so, yeah, that was fairly confusing. When I looked at the answer, I was like, all right, I have no idea what I'm doing here. So I had to go through the answer, understand everything that was done. Sure enough, when I started doing problem 10, I was still confused, and I did some calculations that I knew made no sense whatsoever, even after I did them. This is multiplying this matrix times some of the vectors that are given gives nothing. You really have to think it through. So I must have spent like a good 3 hours altogether just on this problem, figuring out what it was that we were doing in this problem. And I have no answer to it. That made it an extra challenge, but that's fine. So I just kept going back to the book and writing out. It's like, no, gibberish, no. And then it started to make sense to me of how you're using the A matrix and you're reading some vectors off of it, and which vectors are you multiplying by, and which combinations of vectors are you doing to get either your T of V's or your T of V's in the other bases. And sure enough, I spent a long time on 10, and then when I went to do 11, sure enough, it was the same problem, and I got it almost completely right. I messed something up in the end that I had to verify, just arithmetic, but I got it, and I felt really proud. But boy, I sweated bullets for this problem. This problem took me longer than everything that I've done for 8.5. That's how long it took. And so then just more problems to complete the section. But again, every now and then I would look at an answer and I just blew it. I didn't understand what was being done. And so I had to go back, and I kept having to do that. Working on an even problem, trying to figure it out, then doing the odd problem. And yeah, in this case I got it right. Then doing the odd problem, the even problem, which was very, very similar to the next one, and not getting it. And then having to go through the answer and figuring it out. And then keep going. Yeah, keep going. Same thing happened with 17, but I was close. I knew what I was doing. I just didn't do it in the way that it's correct, of course. I mean, it's a terrible way of saying I didn't do it right. But then I started getting more and more, and things started to make more sense. But then the section was over. Then, yeah, 8.4, boy, 8.4. So far, I think the hardest section in the whole book, as far as I can see. Of course, I'm not done, but yes. Reading section 8.5, straightforward, just clean. The reading is simple. Yeah, fine, I did the wrong flip because I read the wrong B prime to B instead of B to B prime. Simple confusion, but then when I looked at the answer, oh yeah, sure, it's the other way. Fine, my mistake. Yeah, a couple of little errors, but other than that, just straightforward from the answers. I mean, I'm saying, once I checked the answer, I was like, yeah, I got it right. This one, I just kept making little mistakes, but I did get it right. 13. Yeah, I didn't understand how the A's were being used, but after that, I sort of got it. That's fine. And then the eigenvalue problems, I got them. I understood what I was supposed to do. And even though the answer for 16 is not in the book, I am pretty sure this is correct. Likewise for 19. So that is 8.4, hardest section in the book so far, and a little bit into 8.5. We'll be done with 8.5 easily, and then do the supplementary problems for chapter 8.